Hello! So today we are taking a look at Palm Springs from Inibuilds in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So I've got the FlyByWire Airbus A320 parked up next to the passenger terminal. We'll go and have a fly around the airfield with the drone camera and go and see how well modelled everything is. So it should be quite interesting to see this. So we'll work our way anti-clockwise around the airfield and we'll fly around and look at some of the features that have been modelled. So just to begin with, for example, you can see there's lots of anti-buildings around the airfield that they've actually gone to the lengths to build properly within the simulator. It's remarkably well done. Some of them have good interiors, some of them are kind of faux interiors. So this building here actually has a real interior look. So there's a bar here with tables. And if we fly around, it's cool, isn't it? So this building we were just walking past is the US Customs and Border Protection Palm Springs International Airport. So does it have the upstairs modelled as well? Or no, it's got like a faux 3D interior for upstairs. I don't actually mind seeing those in the simulator because it saves frame rate enormously when those are implemented nicely. Okay, so coming over towards the car parks of Palm Springs, we've got some fountains modelled. It's always nice to see these extra bits and pieces that are modelled. And you've got figures around the place, so anywhere that's photo-worthy, you tend to find figures in the simulator. It's a shame the water isn't animated, but you can't have everything, can you? So just coming in closer, they're not the highest quality 3D models of people, but then if you're flying past, you're not going to see them anyway. Okay, so if we go and work our way around the perimeter of the airfield first, and we'll come back and look at the buildings a bit later. So you can see palm trees all the way through the parking lots. I love the scenery around this part of the world. We're in California, by the way. It has kind of a stark beauty all of its own, doesn't it? So we're flying out away from the perimeter there. Look, you can see the photogrammetry kicking in. If we come back down to the edge of the airfield, some of the road signage and furniture has been modelled, but also all of the perimeter fences are in place. Okay, so if we go and speed the drone camera up a little bit, and we'll go and work our way around the perimeter, just to show you what's here and what's modelled, what's been missed along the way. I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised when we get a bit further around. I know I have been, but then I'm always surprised by things in the simulator, aren't I? I'm easily pleased. So let's make our way back round. So we've got some GA parking over here, lots of small hangars. You can see there's some planes down here. So these are just AI aircraft that the simulator has put in place. So we've got a Bonanza down there. So yeah, lots of small hangars around the place. There are some static airplanes as well. I think there's a Cessna in between two of these hangars somewhere. Is it this last one here, maybe? Yeah, there we go. So some of them are static, some of them are AI. You can just about tell the static ones because they tend to have black windows. So a bigger hangar there, a couple of bigger hangars, and then you've got some more buildings. So the Atlantic, apparently. So let's go and see if we can slow the drone camera down enough to go and have a nose around inside. So there's obviously a bar here called the Atlantic, but they've gone to the length of doing all the logo signage and everything, and the fountains on the doorway. It's very nicely done, isn't it? So if we go and scoot around the building, if we jump up over the top of the palm trees, there's a pool behind it, look. So let's go and have a look at the pool. And it looks very much, yeah, they've actually modelled the water in the pool. You can see it's a three-dimensional structure with all the sun loungers around it. It's crazy, isn't it? The levels that can be gone to in the simulator, with a water effect there as well. Okay, so further on down, we've got a tank farm here. There's a gas station, by the look of it, on the outskirts of the airport. So it's just outside of the perimeter. So we've got all the pumps and the actual gas station with its store entrance. It's very nicely done, isn't it? And we'll carry on down to the rest of the airport. So we'll speed the drone camera back up. So there's a hangar down here. I think is it American Aviation? Let's just have a quick look. If I speed this camera up. SkyWest, there we go. SkyWest Airlines. I just spotted that flag on the way up, so a number of SkyWest aircraft inside with their liveries, which is quite cool to see. And obviously one on the tarmac outside. Okay, so we'll carry on further on down. There's a museum on the edge of the airfield. So within the museum, you can see a number of ex-US Air Force aircraft here and US Navy. So you've got an intruder here, A6 intruder. It always amazes me that this, that scenery goes to this amount of effort. So we've got an F-16 obviously here, an F-5E, and a Tomcat, and over here we've got a Corsair, and one of the models of AV-8B. I'm not sure which one it is. So there we go. You can see World War II Air Museum is here as well. There's a F-111 there in the corner. So the Palm Springs Air Museum, it's called. It's not often you see an F-111 in a simulator these days, is it? Still an awesome looking aeroplane. I can't believe I still can't believe they did carrier trials with the F-111. Anyway, let's carry on around. So further on around the edge of the airfield, let's just straighten the drone camera up. We've got the radar busy spinning away. It always amazes me the detail people go into with building these radar masts as well. It's stunning, isn't it? It's very clever. Huge, complicated piece of modelling, and yet most people will never take a second glance at it. So, looking down towards the end of the airfield, obviously there's not much down here to look at, so we'll scoot across to the corner. So there's a wall all the way along the edge of this structure here. So we've got some buildings outside of the airfield. Logistics, obviously, for truck. There's a truck park here. And we'll carry on. I think it's just like construction and logistics stuff over here. Obviously, in the real world, it's probably a lot busier than it looks in the simulator, but that would murder the frame rate. So thankfully, they haven't modelled it in too much detail. So you've got more GA hangars over here. And more custom structures. So these are probably well-known buildings in the area. But it's nice to see them just done in a basic way that won't kill the simulator too much. It's good, isn't it? They've got satellite dishes on the roof. I wonder if they're Starlinks. So this is the Signature Flight Support, BBA Aviation. And then over here we've got where we started out, US Customs and Border Protection. So we're making our way slowly back towards the business end of the airport, so the terminals. So let's go and follow the road in and follow the signage, shall we? So let's go and just dump this down a little bit. Rotate the drone camera. The drone cameras rotate very slowly left, and I've never figured out why. Okay. So you can see there's lots and lots of figures have been modelled. So we're going to have a good look around the building. So this is the main passenger terminal, obviously. And it goes out along this road as well. Palm trees everywhere. So let's go and have a little look. So you've got some faux 3D bits here and there that haven't been modelled. I don't think the interior has been modelled, to be honest. Just looking through the windows here. It looks pretty fake to me, but elements of it have been modelled. So you can go through here And you can see the atrium has been modelled, but I'm not going to try flying through the wall because it will break the immersion. We'll work our way around. So this is all fake along here. So let's come back round to the other side of the building, so over the cars in the car park. Round towards, yeah, airside once you've passed through the terminal. So this is where it gets really interesting. And they really have kind of played their A game here. So there's people everywhere. And they seem to be quite nice models. They're not super high res, so it's not going to murder your graphics card too much. But isn't it interesting to see this kind of level of detail? It's very, very cool. So let's go and fly up the stairway here. So we've got the Sunny Bono Concourse. So there's obviously a shopping area up here, duty free, I guess. Do you get duty free on the US airports, or is it? I guess they're just shops because you're not flying between borders, are you? So the roof structure is apparently accurate, so we can see that up here. So if we fly out of the corner of the roof, and you can see the gates and the jet bridges are done really nicely as well. So if we come out to that level of the airport where all the gates are, flying through the window, you can have a little look around. So previously we were in the middle, kind of the rotunda part of it, but now we're on the way around all the gates. It's very cool, isn't it? So what sort of resolution is this done at? Yeah, you can read them. That's impressive. So you go through these side rooms, it's all nicely done all the way around. Let's go and quickly fly around over the passengers. You'll notice how smoothly it's running. I'm quite impressed by that. Normally this amount of detail wouldn't work this smoothly in the simulator. Oh, famous last words, look, as it starts stuttering. It's obviously loading things in the background from time to time, swapping memory and hitting storage to do it. So there you go. I think this is where we came through, wasn't it, earlier? Where it said the sunny Bono. So then we go, welcome to Palm Springs, coming the other way, look. And you see your arrival. That's quite a view, isn't it? With the mountains in the background and the atrium here. Very cool. Okay, so should we go and jump in the aeroplane and just take it as far as going out to takeoff and see the departure? Just to see what the experience is like of taxiing around the airfield. I have turned off other traffic, so we're not going to be too annoyed by things happening around us. So we'll get to concentrate and watch and take care of what we're doing. Okay, so here's our aeroplane again at the gate. So inside the Airbus, I've taken the liberty of preparing a flight plan. If we go over to the browser, so there's the actual scenery from Inibuilds. You can get it from their shop. It's £17.99, which works out about $24, just under. So I've taken the liberty of preparing a flight plan already in Simbrief, so we'll be using that to speed up our route through the aeroplane to get things ready. Okay, so let's go into here and import our Simbrief data into the aircraft, and we've got it now. And I haven't used a FlyByWire 320 in ages, so this is going to be fun. So if we go to fuel, we can get that from Simbrief, and then we can load it onto the airplane, and it says completed because we're doing it instantly. We can go to payload and we can do the same again. So we can do it instantly. We should be able to begin boarding. So we can pull down from Simbrief to get the numbers. And begin boarding. And it's instant, obviously. So that's quite amusing. I'm just going to change the sound to put it so it comes through my own headset, because I'm not hearing anything at the moment. Okay. So then we can go to Pushback, and we'll leave it on that screen for the moment. So we want to go and get the airplane ready. So I'm going to try and remember the keys. Control 8 is overhead. Okay, that's good to know. But we could do this just by moving around.
Ladies and
so
gentlemen,
batteries
on the
on.
flight deck. On behalf of myself, your captain, the first officer, and cabin crew, I'd like to take this time to welcome you aboard our flight. We're just wrapping up some paperwork up front here and waiting to receive final numbers from the ground crew, then we'll be on our way. Flight attendants will be coming through the cabin shortly with a very important safety briefing. We do ask that you give them your full, undivided attention as they review the safety operations of this Airbus aircraft. We do appreciate your business having you aboard this flight. If there's anything we do to make your flight any more enjoyable, please don't hesitate to ask. Welcome aboard.
I love listening to the sound clips. It's fantastic, isn't it? It makes it so much more immersive. So I'm just going to rush through this. I'm not going to follow the proper procedures today. We're just going to get the airplane ready. So get the pumps on. We've got the basics going. We've got navigation lining up. I think I might have it set to instant, so it shouldn't take too long. We've got the basic lights on. We've got the we've armed the emergency lights. So let's go down to the MCDU and go to the FMGC. So on GPS primary, we can clear that message. If we go into init, we can do an init request to fetch from Simbrief. It's in progress. AOC flight plan uplink has happened. So I think the messaging in the fly-by-wire isn't quite as accurate as the Phoenix aeroplanes. So we can clear out the messages that have happened so far. If we go and look in the flight plan, yeah, we've got the basic flight plan. So let's go and look on the actual one. It's in the aircraft as well. We can see it in the tablet. But I just want to come down here and look at the routing. So we've got direct to PSP, and then at the other end we've got the Delta 6 into 34 left. So we're doing 31 left direct to PSP. So PSP is already in there, so we just want to do departure is, what was it, 31 left. So 31 left and no SID and insert. And obviously that's put a discontinuity in place because we're direct following takeoff, so we can clear that out. Then for KSLC we're going to arrive, and we said it's going to be Delta 6 into 34 left, or 34 left. So ILS 34 left, and then Delta 6. And it didn't have a transition involved, did it? No. Okay, so insert that. And we can go to the performance. I'm not sure if this models the performance in the calculator to send over to the MCDU in the same way that the other aircraft, so performance, did we get a calculator? Navigation and charts, air traffic control. Like I said, it's been a while. Presets, perhaps it will calculate it for us. Let's go and have a look. So if we just go and select these numbers, format error. Interesting. So do we have to go and calculate them? So there's our flight. So bear with me a moment. I'm just going to pause recording while I look up how to do this, so you don't watch me blindly flailing around trying to remember how this version of the Airbus works. Okay, I finally remembered how it all works. In the init pages, of course, you have to go across, put the fuel in the aeroplane, and then in the performance pages, you set your flap setting. Then you can set flex temp if you want to. I'm going to leave it blank. But then once you've at least got the flap setting, you can then go and it will pre-calculate the V-speeds. So it just shows even me, I'm doing this completely off script, by the way. So I'm just running through, setting things up in the aeroplane. And I'm getting things wrong. So it's just Yeah, it's fun. Okay, so we got the basics into the flight management computer now, and we can see. Let's go. Can we brighten these screens up a bit? They're a bit dim, aren't they? Same on the other side. Let's brighten them up. And the engineering screens. So ECAM and the lower display. That's better. Okay, so what was our target altitude on the flight plan? 17,000 feet. It's a really short flight. So let's go out to 17,000, and it's on managed mode. We should be able, yeah, so managed mode should be fine. Flight director's already on. I've set the barometric pressure on the altimeters. Okay, so we should be okay to push back then. So do we need to disconnect ground power? Obviously APU is already running, so we could turn off the ground power now. We're running on the APU now. So then back in here we go to ground services and go to services and remove the safety cones. Do we have to remove them, or does it happen automatically? It looks like it's automatic. And external power, where is it? Fuel truck, doors, ground power unit. Oh, there we go. So we never had it connected by the look of it, which is interesting. Anyway, so we can do pushback via this tablet if we want to. So we can put the pushback system on, so we'll say yes, we'll confirm it. And we'll call the tug, and you can see the tug will pull into the aeroplane. So as I said, we're just shortcutting this to get the aeroplane up and running so we can then have a taxi around and see the airfield from a first-person point of view. So let's have a look outside, see the truck connecting to the aeroplane. We scoot forward slightly. Oh, we can't actually see it, it's right underneath the aeroplane now. So if we take the parking brake off, and then we should be able to go backwards, please. There we go. So which runway were we taking off on again? We're taking off on... where is it? 3-1 left. So if we just have a quick look at the airport while we're pushing back. So it would be best if we pushed back to the right. I think I've got that right, haven't I? Yeah, because we want to go down there. So we want the aeroplane tail to go to the left. Which is what's happening. Hopefully avoiding the catering truck on the way. You can obviously influence the speed as well in here, so we can speed up the tug speed. So at the moment he's going quite slowly. So backwards or forwards, you can influence the speed directly. Look. So while we're waiting for the pushback, we can go and put the APU bleed on and turn the engine ignition on and start engine number 2. And you can see engine number 2 is coming up. We can put the flaps to takeoff configuration as well while we're at it. As soon as the light goes out, we can start engine number 1. May as well go and switch TCAS on while we're waiting. So, and the sim has frozen on us, which is not unusual. There we go, and it's just woken back up. Let's go and stop that steering from happening. So stop and disconnect the tug, turn the system back off and wait for the truck to pull away from the aeroplane. Put our parking brake back on because the Airbus does have a small amount of positive thrust. So we can start engine number 1 now. And we can see a lot of the lights will go back out now. So we've got ignition is still on at the moment, obviously. APU bleed is still on. Parking brake is on. We need to go and put the predictive wind shear on. And we need to go and put the taxi light on. And beacon light should have been on already, I missed that one.
Flight attendants, arm doors, and cross-check.
So that's why obviously the beacon light triggers that cabin sound effect. We really should have done that at the beginning of Pushback. Okay, so engines should be up and running any moment. Okay, there we go. Should we turn the sound up a bit? So, oh, it's loud enough for you as well. You can hear me over it. So coming off the parking brake, look, I'm still on idle. So we did have taxi lights on, didn't we? Yeah. So let's go and have a look at this from outside as we taxi away at, from the terminal at Palm Springs. It's lovely modelled, isn't it? Very, very nicely modelled, I should say. Let me get my grammar correct. Hey, I'm English. I should be setting an example. So look at it picking up speed. We haven't touched the throttle yet. That's just the amount of extra thrust you get at idle. Okay. So let's go and put the head tracking on. The ambient sounds in the fly-by-wire do make a huge difference, don't they? It makes it seem much more alive. And yes, the Phoenix might be more accurate, you know, procedurally and technically, but the experience in the fly-by-wire is lovely. Okay, so let's go and have a look at the Navigraph chart. We want to go and look at the other end of the flight. There it is. So it's a direct 2, so as soon as we have a stabilised aircraft we can turn right for PSP. So it's an immediate right turn basically. It's really nicely modelled though, isn't it? Seeing it a little bit closer from the cabin, the textures on the ground are very good. Okay, so let's go and arm the spoilers. Go and run out onto the runway now. I always forget that the fly-by-wire models the steering accurately, in that, you know, there's obviously giant servos turning the nose wheel steering, and they lag. So yeah, you have to think in terms of just being slow and methodical about preparing the aeroplane. So now we're on the runway. We'll go and make sure we've got the landing lights on. Strobes are on auto, but we can put them on if we want to. Okay, let's just have a quick check inside the airplane. We've done the spoilers, we've got the flaps in takeoff configuration. We haven't done a takeoff check, but it doesn't really matter too much. Seatbelts are on, I think. Yes, they are. Parking brake is on. Ignition, we don't need ignition anymore. APU bleed, we don't need anymore, so that can come off. That could have come off during the taxi. Landing lights are on, we're looking good. Okay, so off the parking brake. So, toga. So we're monitoring the V-speeds on the indicated airspeed ribbon. And rotate. Just gently rotate. Gear up. So autopilot is on. It should be doing a right turn any time. There it goes. And we can say goodbye to Palm Springs. And then go for climb mode on the throttles now. Raise the flaps. It's almost doing a complete 180, isn't it? Now, is that because it's kicked? Yeah, it's switched off the autopilot. Look, it hasn't kicked in. So let's go and help it. That's interesting. I wonder, this is always the risk, isn't it? If you go to the outside view, the airplane, we've got auto throttle working. It's just not guiding correctly. We have to put ourselves on an intercept course. And we're over speeding. The auto throttle is not working. Interesting. Just fixing that. What's the aeroplane doing to us? Okay, it's now guiding again, and the throttle is back in the climb to 10, and it should hold 250 knots and take us out to 17,000 feet. So keep an eye on that vertical speed, and we're back on track. So I don't know what happened there, but my own fault for watching the outside view. So we don't need the ground spoilers armed anymore. Coming up to 5,000 feet in a moment. Seatbelt signs are on. I thought I turned the APU off. Oh, I only turned off the APU bleed, didn't I? But we don't need the APU anymore. Landing lights are still on, they'll stay on until 10,000 feet. So anyway, after that bit of hilarity, we're finally on our way. So let's have a look at the basic route here. So of course I haven't loaded it into LittleNavMap, so if I go flight plan, or file, sorry, and open from Simbrief, I can download it and create the flight plan and say no, and then we get the same plan that we're tracking. That was interesting, wasn't it? So it kicked out during the climb while we were playing around in the outside view, which is a lesson to everybody. Don't do that. So obviously Palm Springs is disappearing behind us now. and we're off on our way. Hope you've enjoyed that. So today that was really all about taking a first look at Palm Springs from Inibuilds. So, like as I said, £17.99 or just under $24 or €21.23. It's really nicely done, and you can see some of the features. We didn't get to see all of the features look around the airport. There's obviously some famous sculptures and bits of furniture around the airport. We saw some of this, but it's really nice. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I'll see you again soon. Take care.